I'm going to pass it over to Coach Ed Ortiz so that we can do some introduction and get this ball rolling.
All right. Hey, excellent. Good to be here this morning. Great time, man. What a beautiful day to be in training. And, man, I'm so excited. I'm so pumped up about this team, man. It's just absolutely phenomenal. Let me just kind of give you some numbers before I pass it over to the great, my friend David Santos. Okay. But listen, a week ago, we were at 120 recruits. Today, we're at 220. We have recruited 100 people in our organization in 1 week. Okay. If we continue doing that, man, we'll go over 400, 500 recruits a month. Okay. That's what we're looking for, is just growing this thing. Okay. But watch this. Now that we got them recruited, we got to keep this thing in mind. We got to keep it basic. Okay. We got them recruited. The next thing we got to do is we got to teach these guys how to do this business. We got to field train them. Okay. As we're field training them, let's get them licensed. Okay. So when they get the license, because they've been field trained, now they know what to do with that license and they could get promoted. That's simple. All right. Let's recruit them. Let's field train them. Let's get them licensed. Let's get them promoted. Okay. Every single one of you that are on this call, hey, that's it. If you've been recruited into the business, you need to let your field trainer know, hey, listen, hey, train me on this business. Hey, let me get my license. Show me how to get my ass promoted. Get myself promoted. Okay, promote me. All right. So that's what we're looking for. Okay. Not only did we increase our recruiting by 100, our premium also went up. All right. We increased 50,000. Okay, 50,000. We're going on a clip of going over 300,000 in our hierarchy, in our base, in our business. Okay. So everyone is critical that you get in this game. All right. So, hey, congratulations, get your license. Once you got the license, get that investment license. There's some money out there. Okay. There's some tremendous money out there. Okay. And this person that I'm going to bring up, man, I am so excited about, David and Shanika, man. Let me tell you about these guys. These guys, I saw these just like every single one of you. I saw these guys coming in the business. I saw these guys as representative. I seen them as district. I seen them how they gone to work. I mean, this guy is the epitome of what Primerica is all about. You know, this man is a godly man. Not only is he a godly man, he's a family man, and he's also a Primerica man. Okay, so it's God, family, business. Okay, and that's what this person edifies. That's what David is, and we're so excited to have him. Last week, we had his upline. The person who got him in the business was David and Sophia Leone, and you know David knocked it out of the park, and I know David is going to do the same thing. Okay, so I'm truly so excited for them. So if you could, everyone, come on, let me get a little hands up. Let me get something, and let me help you.
David,
please help me welcome the great.
Let's go, David. Let's go, Coach.
Let's go.
All that situation. So without any further ado, David, I'm going to pass it over to you because you're nothing but the man. Okay, 2 times the man today. All right. So the great David and Shanika Santos. Here we go, David. You got it, brother.
Let's go, David.
Woo! Hey, good morning. A super early morning here in Sacramento, California, here on the West Coast. Oh, can you guys hear me now?
I can hear you now.
All right. Hey, we're extremely excited to be with you guys here on the West Coast. It's like 7 o'clock in the morning. I couldn't believe it. It's still dark outside. I woke up, it was still night. So I was like, oh my gosh. I said, but we really love Ed and Yvonne Ortiz and their organization. This is truly an honor and a privilege to be able to spend some time with you guys. I told Ed, I think the other day, that they are truly one of our heroes in the business. Like he said, he's seen us when we were brand new in the business. I've seen those boys over there, Jason and his brother, since they were like, probably 10 or 12 years old, walking around the trips and stuff like that. And I remember just being around the pool, you know, and Willis over there. I remember when he had more hair. It's just crazy how time has flown, you know. But these are great times right now in Primerica. We're extremely honored to be here today. But Ed, if you don't mind, I'm gonna have, there's my better half. I mean, I'm telling you, is the person that without her, we couldn't have got here. She is just extremely, extremely amazing. She's the best business partner on the planet. Just an amazing woman, and has so much wisdom that I believe that she can really share with a lot of you guys. And then I'll come on after her. But hey, let's give my wife a big hand of applause, okay? If you guys don't mind helping me out,
Let's go, Shanika. Let's
Santos.
go.
Oh, wow.
Let's
Good
go.
morning. Good morning. Good
Let's
morning,
go.
There she
Ortiz.
is. There she
Family,
is.
Ortiz hierarchy, man. We love you guys so much. We love Ed and Yvonne so much, and just an honor and a privilege to be able to speak to this incredible hierarchy. David has said it all. I mean, when we came into this business, Ed and Yvonne, man, I looked at them. They were this beautiful couple. They just, they had it together. Just an inspiration to us in partnership and in business. It was always a blessing to be able to go to a Crossland event and see the Ortizes. They were going to love on you. They were going to encourage you. You know, they were going to give you what you needed. Yvonne was going to give you that hug that you needed. I just enjoy her hugs so much. Miss those. I was going to share a PowerPoint, but I'm not. I'm just going to go ahead and tell our story real quick. First, giving all praise and honor to God, who is ahead of our lives. Without him, we definitely would not be anywhere. He is the author and the finisher of our faith, of our life. Everything that we have is because of him. And so I will always be mindful to give him the glory and the honor. Will honor my uplines, my mentors, my coaches, David and Sophia Leung. Thank God every single day that they walked into our lives, that they showed up at our apartment when they did. And then to our incredible team, man, just thank God so much for an incredible team, because we are nothing without our people, right? And we have to be thankful, and we have to thank God daily for them, right? Even though sometimes they're like our children and we want to give them a spanking, we got to be thankful for them. So thankful for our team this morning. And hey, today we just want to give you guys hope. Want to share our story with you guys, and David's going to definitely give you guys the fundamentals and give you guys, those intangible things that you need in order to get your business to the next level. I was listening to the numbers as Jason was speaking today, and trust me, you guys are on a tear. The Ruby Run is definitely very, very near for this hierarchy, and we are excited to be able to see that happen. But just a little bit about David and I. Hey, we met Thanksgiving Day, 1994. Yes, Thanksgiving Day, I will never forget it. Met that day. He showed up at my apartment after a brief telephone call with my roommate after I told him don't show up, and he showed up anyway. So persistence is definitely his key. We come from very different backgrounds. I was born and raised right here in Sacramento, California. My dad's retired military, went on to work at Campbell Soup for over 30 years. My mom worked at Campbell Soup for over 30 years. I'm the youngest child by 13 years. So I have 4 older sisters and 1 older brother, and all of my family has either worked at Campbell Soup or in state service here in California. So all I knew was you go to school, you get a job, and you work that job until you retire, because that's what I saw. Well, David came from a very different background. He immigrated here from the Philippines when he was about 7, 8 years old. His father was an entrepreneur, came to the States, got a job, learned that job, and then opened up his own business doing that job. So that's all David ever knew. So when I met him, he had 3 kids when I met him already. He was 25, I was 19. So there was a little bit of an age difference there. But he was in pursuit of becoming this producer, record, entertainer dude. And that was like totally out of my realm. Nothing that I was interested in. My car consisted of about 4 tapes, and that was Al B. Sure, Blackstreet, and something like that. That was like it. That was my music, right? That was my repertoire, right? I listened to jazz, Will Downing and Rochelle Farrell, and here he is coming into my life, and he was all about music and entertainment, and it was like totally different for me. But I saw something in him. He was determined. He was motivated. He was encouraged. Like, he really wanted to do something with his life. And it was totally different than anything that I had ever been a part of. And he pulled me into that and got involved in that. And in July of 1995, yes, we met in November of 1994. And July 1st, 1995, we got married. So we moved pretty quickly, right? We moved pretty quickly through the system. And once we did that, it's kind of like a fast start, right? We had a real fast start. And once we got married, he told me, you got to quit your job. You got to work with me. You got to come and help me in this business. This is what I want to do. This is what I want to pursue. And me, crazy enough, I did it. You know, I quit my job. I got involved with him and we started, you know, bringing in artists and he was helping them with music. And we were flying back and forth to LA and doing all these different things. And then God completely turned our lives around. He completely changed everything. We went to church on an Easter Sunday together and our lives just began to change from that point. And we realized there was another direction that God wanted us to go into. And here we were at a pivotal point in our business where it looked like things were getting ready to really take off and things were getting ready to really explode. And we had put all this money into this business and put all this money into getting these artists going. And God said, no, that's not what I want you to do. And we gave it all up. And we went into ministry full time. And here we are in ministry full time. I get pregnant with our first child in 1997. We had Sam. And then shortly after that, 1998, we had Joshua. And the church here in Sacramento that we were ministering with, we actually lost our building here because of a lack of finances and a lack of ties. And anybody that understands independent ministry, you know that you completely and totally rely upon your members and upon your church. And our building went into foreclosure. During that time, our pastor had an offer and someone asked him, would he come to Maryland and start a ministry? And he got up one Sunday morning and he was like, who wants to go with me? I'm moving to Maryland. You know, we want some people to come and help us to start this church and to be a seed. And my husband raises his hand. And I'm like, what are you doing? I don't want to move to Maryland. I'm a California girl. I've been here all my life. I'm not thinking about going to Maryland. But this man raised his hand to go and follow our pastor to Maryland. And guess what? Here we go. Here I am with a 1-year-old and an infant, and we're on our way to move to Maryland, not knowing where we're going to live, not knowing, you know, how we're going to make money, not knowing any of that stuff. And we were in Maryland in a 1-bedroom apartment with 4 other families trying to start a ministry. And we did that, you guys, for almost a year. And things didn't quite work out. And now it was time to come back home. Well, we were coming back home to nothing. We had sold everything. We didn't have anything. We didn't have a place to come back to. And we had to move in with my father. Now, I don't know if you guys remember in the beginning, I said my father retired military, right? My husband, on the other hand, he's never really had a job before. So we moved in with my dad, and every morning my dad was dropping off the classifieds like, brother, you got to get a job and take care of my daughter and these boys. And so David, for the first time since we had been together, he got a job. And he was making $12 an hour as a loan officer. Really, he was just on the phone answering calls. But anyways, he was making $12 an hour as a loan officer. We finally get an apartment. We finally get a little car. We finally get moved in. And he calls me on the way home from work one day and says, babe, I got this guy coming over to talk to us about, you know, investing for the kids' college. You guys, we were living in a 1-bedroom apartment with no furniture. We literally had no furniture. We had an office chair that we had from the church and a TV sitting on the floor in the living room. And this man tells me he got somebody to come over to talk to us about investing for our children's college. Old folks used to say we didn't have a pot to piss in and a window to throw it out of. And he got somebody to come over and do a kitchen table presentation, and we don't have a kitchen table. So David Leung shows up, and as soon as he walks in the door, I went in the bedroom and shut the door. Because I'm like, I'm not doing this. David sits on the floor, Leung sits in the chair, and Leung gives him a presentation while he's sitting on the floor. And then guess what happens? It's life insurance time. Everybody out here knows, right? They can't do a life insurance policy without the wife. Because back then, you know, we had paper, pen and paper, right? And so David comes in the room. He's like, babe, I need you to come out real quick. He needs to ask you some questions. And so I walk out of the room and I'm standing there, hand on hip, looking at this man like, what do you want? And he says, hey, Shanika, you know, I was talking to David and he told me he's the only one working right now. You're staying at home, you're taking care of the kids. And have you ever thought about life insurance? No. Well, you do understand that David is the only one bringing in income. And what if he leaves tomorrow and he doesn't come back home? Something happens. What are you going to do? And I looked at him as a matter of factly as I could and said, I'll go get a job. And he said, okay. And this is where he got me. He said, okay. He said, I understand that. He said, so you wouldn't be the least bit devastated if something happened to your husband. You would be able to go right out and just start taking care of things, no problem. And I stopped and I thought about it because I may have been stubborn, but I wasn't stupid. And it made sense. And I was like, okay, well, I guess so. I guess we do need life insurance. And that day, I wrote David Leung a check for $44.54 for life insurance. We finished that transaction and I went back in the room and shut the door. And then once it was time for him to go, you know, David comes in and he goes, babe, you're being rude. Can you at least come say bye to the man? I walked out. I said, bye. He shuts the door. And my husband turns around and says, I think I can do this. And I said, do what? He said, the life insurance, he makes like $160,000 a year. I think I could do this. I was like, no, you just got a job. For the first time since we've been married, you got an income coming in. You're not doing anything. He was like, no, I think we could do this. I said, how much is it? He says, $199. I said, fool, I'm trying to figure out what I'm not going to pay so that $44.54 check won't bounce. Where are you going to get $199 from? And he said, I'll borrow it. And that's what he did. He borrowed $199 from an old pastor friend that we had from the church, and he got started in this business. And let me tell you guys, it wasn't that I didn't believe in David. I didn't believe in Primerica. I didn't know anything about Primerica. All I knew is some little Asian man came to my house, sold us some insurance. I didn't know if he was selling out the trunk of his car. I didn't know if this company was reputable. I didn't know what it was about. I just didn't believe in Primerica, but I believed in my husband. And he got started in this business and he had to be at work at 5 o'clock in the morning. He would get off of work at 2 o'clock in the afternoon. Sometimes, and we only had one car. So sometimes I would drop him off at work. He would leave work and David Leung's office was about 1.5 miles from his job. He would walk from his job to David Leung's office so he could make calls. And I saw him do that. I saw him put away the things that he was looking at. You know, David was always looking for ways to make money. He wanted to start a janitorial business. He doesn't even know what Comet is. You know, he wanted to do all kinds of things. He was looking at Carlton Sheets, who was, you know, buy real estate with no money and no credit. You know, he was always looking for ways to do something, but I saw him put all of that aside and he got serious about this business. And I watched that start to happen. And guess what? We weren't licensed and it was time for the Atlanta convention. And here he comes home telling me he wants to go to some convention in Atlanta, Georgia. And I was like, we can't afford to go to no convention in Atlanta, Georgia. And he said, well, I really want to go. I really need to go. And I was like, no, we're not going to go. We're not going to Atlanta. We can't afford it. He was like, well, if you're not going to support me and you're not going to help me, then, you know, I'll find somebody else in the office that'll support me and help me. You'll do. I gave him the Scooby-Doo. No, you won't. And so I went to Atlanta, Georgia. I didn't make it easy. I brought the kids. I brought my mama to watch the kids. I was gonna make it as hard as I most possibly could make it. But right before we got ready to leave for the Atlanta convention, Sophia Leung was in a terrible car accident. Literally a little over a week before we got ready to leave. And the deal with this convention is we were supposed to share a room with David and Sophia. And I had only met Sophia one time prior to this. And so when she got into a car accident, I was literally on my way to drop David off at an appointment, a training appointment with David Leung. And David Leung's secretary called and said that David wasn't going to make it. Sophia was in a bad car accident and they didn't know what was going on. We found out later on that her car went over a ravine, rolled over. She was airlifted to the hospital. She had a broken collarbone, just a ton of different things was going on. Her spleen, I mean, so many things were happening. And all I could think about is there's no way this man is going to this convention. There's no way he's going to leave his wife. Sophia came home from the hospital a day before we were supposed to leave in a hospital bed that was set up in her home downstairs. And Leung was still at that airport the next day to go to Atlanta. I didn't quite know how I felt about that. I didn't quite know how I felt about him. I actually looked at him sideways because I couldn't believe that he had left his wife to get on a plane to go to Atlanta. I didn't see how it was that important. And then we got there. And the first day I heard Sean Vaillant speak, she blew me away. I heard Bill Whittle speak and talk about his family, blew me away. I heard Tyrone Taylor speak and his passion blew me away. And I was like, oh my gosh, this business, these people, the morals, the values, what we do, this is amazing. And we left that day and we were walking back to the embassy suites and we were walking through the Centennial Park and Sophia calls David on the phone and he's talking to her on the phone. And I said, can I speak to your wife? And I get on the phone with Sophia and I said, I want to thank you. I said, I want to thank you that you allowed your husband to go to this convention. I said, because not many women would have let him go. I said, and if he didn't go, I don't think my husband would have came. And I know I wouldn't be here. I said, but this convention changed my life. And she told me the only reason why I let him go is because I knew that you needed to get there. And that's when I was 100% sold out on Primerica and sold out on my leaders because they sacrificed, she sacrificed. And that's what Primerica is about. And we came back home, you guys, and we went to work. We went to work like never before. I mean, I got involved with the business. I got fully licensed. We went RVP in 14 months. We made 100,000 right after going RVP. We made 60,000 before we went RVP. We were David Leung's first RVPs, green jackets, watches, rings, everything that we could be, we did. And we did it for our family. We did it for our why, but we also did it for our coaches because we saw them sacrifice for us. That's what Primerica is. Primerica is a life-changing business. It has completely and totally changed our lives. Our family is forever thankful. We had 2 additional children in the business. We now have a total of 7. And life is just different. And it's all because he showed up and he didn't just sell us a life insurance policy, but he gave us an opportunity. And that's what we do, you guys. We give people an opportunity. And so without further ado, I'm gonna go ahead and pass it over to my husband. I thank you guys for listening to us. God bless you.
Thank you. Thank you.
Amazing.
Fire!
Lady.
Amazing, amazing.
Amazing.
Thank
Oh
you
my
so
God.
much, Shanika.
Yes.
Like I said, you guys, man, my wife is amazing. She's my rock. She's my everything. She's my boo thing, is whatever you guys want to call it. And she's just everything to me. And just an amazing woman. And I wasn't quite that old when I met you, hon. I was 24, not 25. Okay, I was 24, right? And she was 19. So I just wanted to make sure that I got that right. Hey, but I wanted to give you guys a couple of visuals. I got some things that I think that can really help you guys, because I have no doubt this is $1 million hierarchy in 2021, no doubt. And not just Ed and Yvonne going over $1 million, but I see their sons going over $1 million. I see a couple of RVPs on here that's going to hit 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 diamonds, 8 diamonds this year, 2021. In Jesus' name, I see a bunch of you guys about to get your watches and your rings here shortly. I heard Jason talking about it's going to be a flood. The floodgates are about to open up, you know, and I know that with everything in me. But I want to entertain you with a couple of pictures, some visuals, just so you can see, man, we're going to give you guys some hope. We're going to give you guys some hope today because some of you guys are thinking, can this happen for me? And I promise you, it can happen for you. If it can happen for a couple like David and Shanika, if it can happen for the amazing Ed and Yvonne. It can happen for you guys, okay? I'm going to share my screen real quick, and I want you guys to see a quick picture. I don't know. Tell me if you guys can see that. Can you guys see that picture?
Yes, sir.
All right. So you guys see that person there in the middle. Now, from my understanding, Ed, I think Ed, you were a helicopter pilot, if I'm not mistaken, right? And Yvonne used to jump out of the helicopters. And
That's right. That's right. Yeah.
While you was flying them, she was jumping out of them like Wonder Woman. And and so you were flying. See, I was flying too. You see the guy in the middle, his eyes was his eye was a little closed. He was a little sleepy. See, I was just like Ed. I was flying too, but I just wasn't flying a helicopter. I was flying something else. As you can see, I haven't always been the person that I am today. God has changed me like you can't believe. Eric, take a good look at that guy. Man, that dude was a cool dude years ago, right? And that was right next to me was Mixmaster Mike. He was a world DJ champion. He was the first artist my wife and I put out years ago when we first started our record company. So this is kind of some before and after pictures that you can see, hopefully that you can relate with. I'm telling you, I can't believe Primerica has paid this guy X amount of dollars. I'll show you some things here in just a second. But then my wife said we started in that little apartment, right? With our kids. I mean, look at our boys. Our boys were 2 and 1 at the time. I can't see how little they are. And she was talking about we had no furniture. You see the TV that back then we used to call them the big booty TVs. They don't have big booty TVs anymore. They got flat screen TVs that like I have on the wall back there. But back then we had big booty TVs. That was this one. As you can see, we didn't have an entertainment center, right? The kids were the entertainment. That's who entertained us when we didn't have no money. Was those kids right there. And what I used to get paid, guys, listen, again, I want to give you guys some hope. This is what we were getting paid. And when we first got started, we got paid my job, that little job she was when I worked in the call center. Can you imagine that, Eric, making $2,000 a month? I can't believe that. I mean, what's crazy, Ed, is people today in 2021 are still making $2,000 a month. And right, and they don't think nothing is wrong. They don't think there's a scam taking place, but there's a huge scam taking place in America. It's called corporate America, right? They're stealing your goals and your dreams from you. But this is what I used to make, guys. And the reason why I made that at the time, and here's a nugget that I believe that can help you guys, is at that very time, that's the only thing I believed I can earn at that time. See, your belief level is everything. Right. And that's why you got to be around the Ortiz family and the success that they bring to the table, because when you're around this type of success, it will breed belief into you. That's what David and Sophia did for Shanika and I. We got around them. We start believing that we were worth it more than $2,000 a month. But this is how awesome Primerica is. Let me tell you, it's not how awesome David and Shanika are, but this is how awesome Primerica is. Because we made a decision, okay, listen, I'm going to go back real quick. Because we made a decision, because I want you to listen to the points I'm going to give you. I want to give you a little substance here, but because we made a decision years ago, in 2020, our highest income month in 2020, you guys, I'm sure this is familiar to you. This is our daily blast. Look, in one calendar month, Primerica paid us almost $94,000. Can you believe that they paid this sleepy guy in the middle, this flying guy in the middle, almost $100,000 in a month? That's freaking crazy. When we used to make this, we used to make $2,000 a month. That's $24,000 a year. Right now, our bonuses are $30,000, $40,000 some $1,000 a month now. Right, guys? Let me tell you. But in order for you to jump from that to this, you're going to have to make some decisions, right? One of the decisions that I made years ago, right? I had quit my job. I'm not telling you guys to quit your job right now or anything like that, but I can just tell you what I did. If you want what we were able to do, I quit my job before I even got my license, right? Before I even got my license, I quit my job. Why? Because I had vision. I saw enough. I saw Leung made the money. And at that time, he was making like $160,000 a year. right? At that time, we were in this little old office, right? We were in this little office, and at that time, he was making $160,000 a year. But I thought if he was half right, Ed, if he was half right, I can make 80,000. I can make 80,000 at that time. Now you might not think that's a lot of money, but I was making $12. I bought it. I didn't buy in $1 million a year. I bought in an extra $500 to $1,000 a month, right? That's what I bought into. See, sometimes we may make it a little too hard for people. We sell out the 500,000, the 800,000, 100,000. You know, Eric and Amber Davis, you know, $1 million earner, number 106. They spent like 5 days with us a couple of weeks ago. And I remember he spent some time with our team, and he said he got geeked. He got excited over $697 that Tanya made at that, you know, at his house when she did his life insurance, right? Not the 200,000, not the 500,000, not the 800,000, the $697, right? So, right, we got to make things a little bit more relatable and believable for people, right? So anyway, guys, let me, you know, one of the things we did early on is we put it all on the line, Ed, just like you guys did. See, success leaves clues. See, I know you want what Ed and Yvonne had, but you got to do what they did to get what they, you know, if you want what they have, you got to do what they did, right? And I know they put it all on the line. Is it going to be scary? Hell yeah, it's going to be scary, right? Is it going to be risky? Yeah, you know, but what's even more riskier, guys, is for you to stay average and ordinary. That's even more risky, right? That's even riskier, right? But if you want to be able to achieve what the greats have achieved in Primerica, there's a couple of things, there's some intangibles that you have to do. And I want to share that with you guys today, some intangibles that I really believe in. Every bit of our intangibles that we've gotten from the Bible. So I know it works. They say that the Bible works when you work the Bible, right? The word works when you work the word, right? And one of the things that we did very early on in the business, Ed, like Shanika talked about, we love our uplines. You talking about we love our uplines? We love our uplines, right? I don't understand how there's some people in Primerica don't love their uplines. It's weird. I mean, well, I didn't always like them. There was times, Ed, I'll be honest, that I didn't always like them. He would say things that it kind of rubbed us the wrong way. He said a lot of things that rubbed my wife the wrong way. But you know what? Because we weren't we didn't self-improve back then. We didn't understand where he was coming from because we didn't self-improve. But now we've self-improved. We understand why he said what he said, why he did what he did. And man, we have such a close relationship with our uplines, right? And so one of the things that I want to share with you guys that can really help you guys get to that next level in 2021 is the first thing you got to do is you got to find your purpose. You know, people in Primerica, you hear them talking about you got to find your why. Your why has to make you cry. That is so dead on true. You got to find that thing that when you're ready to quit is going to keep you in the game. Because I promise you, you're going to want to quit. There have been times that, you know, in our career that we have definitely wanted to quit. You know, people that said, you know, everything has been great for us. We've never wanted to quit. You need to run from them because that's nowhere near from being a true statement, because anyone that's successful, I promise you, have wanted to quit a million times. And we wanted to quit, but because we knew our purpose, because I knew my purpose, right? I remember there were days, Ed, I'd be in the car. Yeah, back then we used to actually drive to our appointments, right? 2-3 hours away, you know, where you guys just press a button now, you know, see each other on this camera and you're on an appointment. There was an actual time we used to drive to our appointments. And I remember I would be in my car, Ed, and I would cry. I would be in tears because I didn't know where my next appointment was going to be. Here I quit my job. Man, I don't know how I'm going to provide for my family. And sometimes it gets hard looking. It was sometimes hard looking for your next appointment, your next block of business, right? But when you know your purpose, let me tell you guys, you will figure it out. You will find the solution. When you want it bad enough, that the problem I see in Primerica today is that many people don't know what their purpose is. You're wandering around. You're wandering around. You're on this journey, but you're wandering around. Like it was like the Israelites. It took them 40 years for an 11-day journey. Right? The Israelites, it took them 40 days for an 11-day journey. Why? Because they didn't have vision. They didn't know their purpose. Right? They were lost. You're going to be lost when you don't know what you're going for. Right? So you got to know your purpose. Figure that out. Don't let the day today pass by without you not knowing what your purpose is, guys. You got to know what your purpose is. Get that. You got to lock on in that today. Like I know people like Ed and Ortiz, they knew what their purpose was. They knew it. I remember him telling his story about he walked into that Primerica office and he went back home and told Yvonne, babe, I think I know what we're going to do for the rest of our life. You see, guys, success leaves clues. He knew. See, the problem with many of us, you're still wondering. You're still guessing, right? You're still contemplating. You're still pondering, right? You got to know this is where you're going to plant your flag. This is it. See, I had no other options, right? This was it for me, right? You got to be like, that's why I quit my job before I even had a license, right? Why? Because that's why we got same thing with my wife. I knew she was the one I was going to marry. So I proposed to her within a couple of months. Why waste time? Right? Why waste time? Too many people waste time. Hey guys, time is not cheap, man. One thing I learned a long time ago is I can lose my money, but I don't want to lose my time, because at least with money, you can get it back. But with time, you can't get that back. Right? I've been with this girl now for 25 years, almost 26 years, right? Made a decision super quick, got off to a fast start in our marriage, right? So you got to find your purpose, guys, right? That's number one. You got to find your purpose. Number two, right? You got to connect with your mentor. Write that down. You got to connect with your mentor. See, there's some scriptures in the Bible that's so powerful. One of them in Ephesians says, honor your mother and father. Honor your mother and father, because it's the only commandment. It's the only commandment out of the 10 that comes with a promise. Okay, listen to that. It says that's a commandment that actually comes with a promise. Honor your mother and father. It says it will give you long life. Right? I translate that in other ways. It means give respects to your uplines. Connect with your mentors, because you will prosper when you do. It's not by accident, you guys, that Shanika and I are the highest earners in our hierarchy. And we've always been the higher earners in our hierarchy. Why? Because we're the closest to our uplines. And listen, this is the part that's key. Not just when it was convenient, but when it was inconvenient. Not just when we liked what he said, but when we didn't like what he said. Right? You got to connect with your mentor. You guys are so blessed. You have one of Primerica's best, one of Primerica's Wall of Famers, one of the legends right there you have access to. And that's the problem in our world today. We're so familiar with greatness, sometimes we take it for granted. You guys many of us take our leaders for granted. You say, oh, that's just Ed and Yvonne, right? Or that's just the Ortiz boys. And you take them for granted. Right? But understand, there's not too many people in America that make what they make. Right? There's a small percentage. And the crazy thing is you guys are listening to people that make what they make in a month, in a year, versus listening to people like them that make that in a month. Right? See, success leaves clues. You have to connect with your mentor. You got to humble yourself. And that's another problem. Many of us, we come into the business sometimes. We come from different professions. I see it all the time. I'm sure you do too, Ed. They come they have management experience, and they come in this thing thinking, oh, I'm going to do this just like I did at my other job where I was the boss. I can tell people what to do. No, here you got to lead people to do. You can't manage people to do. You got to lead people to do. You got to do it first. When you went to school, you remember when we went to school, they said, monkey see, monkey do, right? They said show and tell. They didn't say tell and show. They said show, then tell. Right? They didn't say tell and show. They said show and tell. Right? So you got to connect with your mentors, guys. I can't stress that enough. How valuable that is to make sure you're connected to your uplines, to your mentors. Right? And, you know, a lot of times people say, well, I don't like my uplines. Right? You know, they may not like you either, but they still put up with you. Right? They still, so you don't have to necessarily like them, but you need to respect them. Right? You need to respect, you know, usually the only reason why we don't like our uplines is because they're telling us the truth. They're telling us what we don't want to hear. Right? You know how much it takes an upline to tell someone what they need to hear rather than what they want to hear? You know how much courage, you know how much it takes from a human being? Guys, that in itself, you need to show some gratitude for. You need to connect with your mentor. That's number one, guys. You need, actually not number two, you got to connect with your mentor. All right, number three, if you want to get from 2,000 a month to almost 100,000, 2,000 a month to almost 100,000 a month, hey man, you got to have an extreme amount of faith. You have to have an extreme amount of faith. Genesis chapter 12, verse 1, write that down. Genesis chapter 12, chapter 12, verse 1. It says, then the Lord, you can read it later. Then the Lord told Abram, leave your country, your relatives, and your father's house and go to a land that I will show you. You know, let me translate that in today's lingo. He's saying, quit your job, leave everything that's familiar to you, right? And go make it happen. That's what it's saying in today's modern day language, in the David Santos version, right? It says, leave your job. It says, leave your country, right? We're not telling you to leave the United States. There's no Primerica, you know, only in Canada, okay, in Puerto Rico, right? But you got to, don't say, Dave told me to leave the country. No, leave your job. Leave your relatives. You see, the Bible even says, leave your relatives. You got some relatives you need to get rid of, right? The ones that won't even give you an appointment. In your father's house and go. The Bible says, go to a land that I will show you. He said, go, leave. Right? There's some places in your lives that you got to leave. You got to leave your comfort zone. That's what it's saying. But in order for you to, see, there's a lot of people, Ed, you know, that I go to church with, and we all go to church with, man, they talk that good faith talk, man. You know, when the preacher starts preaching, man, they start to shouting and start jumping around when a certain verse pops on, man. They start getting all excited and start clapping their hands and all that kind of stuff. But man, don't let them have to exercise no faith, right? When to exercise faith, right? You got to not know what's going on. If you know everything that's going on, right? That's not faith. You can't brag about it if you know, if you see everything already. That's not faith. Faith is when you don't see it, right? Faith is when you don't see it, right? So you got to have an extreme amount of faith. And here's the thing: when people, I look at now, you know, people like they leave their jobs. Or we have great couples like George and Princess. They just went over $500,000. Right, we got people like Lee and Veronica. They're about to get their third diamond. We got another guy named Ron Michelle that they're about to get their ring. We got other people that went into business. But one common thing that these guys did was they left some things behind. Like Lee Curry, he was driving buses, right, for years. All he did is work all his life. And he left Muni to do Primerica full time. That's why now they're about to go get their third diamond. They've only been around here like 4 or 5 years, right? Because they had a tremendous amount of faith, right? You got to have faith. But here's another thing, you guys. Now, you may not like this one, but again, everything I'm sharing with you guys today, Eric, is from the Bible, right? So if you don't like what's coming out of the Bible, you take that up with God. Now, don't take it up with me. I didn't write it. I'm just telling you what I read. So if you got a problem with this, hey, God has a suggestion box. I suggest you give him some suggestions, but I don't think he's going to hear you, right? This is what he said, and it is what it is. In Proverbs 13:4, it says, Okay, first, before I give you the scripture, the point is you got to have a tremendous work ethic. You got to know how to work. Man, you got to know how to work. This is what the Bible says. It says, lazy people. Oh, man, I love this. I love this verse. Lazy people want much but get little. But those who work hard will prosper and be satisfied. Guys, that's what the Bible says. If you're wondering, well, Ed, I'm just working my tail off, Ed. Eric, you ever hear this, Eric? You got your downlines and say, Eric, man, I'm giving it all I got. I'm giving it all I got. I'm putting it on the line. It sounds sexy too, right? When they say it, they be crying, right? They be boo-hooing like, man, I'm giving it all I got, Eric, Jason, I'm giving it all I got. But I'm just not making no money. Somebody's lying. Somebody is lying. Because the Bible says lazy people want much and get little, but those who work hard will prosper and be satisfied. The Bible says you would be satisfied if you work hard, right? You can tell us you're working hard, right? But here's the thing, guys. Our results, our incomes, our results is a manifestations of our thoughts and our actions. It's a manifestations of our thoughts and our actions, right? Really, most part of our actions. So you got it for a short period of time. In fact, George and I, they were at our office last night. We were just talking about that, the work ethic. People see that now, they're at 500,000. People don't know the appointments we've been on, the amount of appointments we've been on, right? It's not luck. The problem, guys, here, listen, people come to Primerica with that lottery mentality. Like I'm a recruiter, Ed and Yvonne, our first 30 days. Guys, that don't rarely happen. Who you recruit for, usually for your first 30 days is practice. It's usually practice, right? Before you get to the Ed and Yvonne's, you better be around Primerica for a little while, right? I'm going to warn you now. It's going to take a minute, right? So if you think you're just going to win the lotto and get your star couple from out the gate, good luck. Good luck, guys. That's not realistic. Again, the first 10, 15, 20, 30 people you recruit usually is going to be practice. Right? God's going to let you practice on them. Right? So you got to have a tremendous work ethic, right? You got to be willing to work hard. You're not going to get lucky here. Well, I used to hear this in Primerica, Ed, the harder you work, the luckier you get. Right? The harder you work, the luckier you get. So you got to work your tail off for a short period of time. For a short period of time, right? You're going to have to work your tail off. Here's the next point. You got to set specific goals. 2021, you got to set specific goals. Right? They have to be specific. Right? You got, whether it's a promotion, whether it's an income, whatever it is, you have to set specific goals. Too many people come to Primerica, like I said, they're wandering. There's no goal set. And a lot of times, like we always ask our leaders, hey, man, post your goals on the chat, post your goals on the chat, post. Because if you're not posting your goals, you're telling me you have no goals. Right? You're just wishing and hoping that something happens. In other words, lottery. You're still in that lottery mindset. Right? Right? Don't say, well, I don't want to say I'm going to do 10 because I might not do 10. See, you're giving yourself an out. You're giving yourself an out. Right? Make sure you have some specific goals and you post it on your chats or whatever you guys post it on. Tell your uplines. Every month, guys, tell your uplines what your goals are so they can help you with your goals. How can they help you when they don't know what your goals are? Right? So make sure you set specific goals. Come here. I'm going to wrap up here. The other thing is you got to take responsibility. My other points, you got to take responsibility. Hey, guys, don't blame your uplines. Don't blame your downlines. When things aren't going your way, don't blame the people above you or the people under you. You got to take a look in the mirror. Look at yourself. Right? You have to take responsibility. Stop blaming people. Man, if I only had so-and-so as my upline. Well, guess what? So-and-so don't want you in their downline. You're part of Ed and Ortiz. You better be happy that you're in their downline, right? Man, you know, you watch PFN, you're like, man, I wish I can be part of that organization. Hey, no, listen, you need to be able to make it wherever you're at. Wherever you're at, you need to be able to make it, right? So take responsibility, right? Stop. You know how much energy it does, it takes to blame somebody, right? It causes you to be stuck. There's a lot of people stuck because they don't take responsibility, want to blame everybody else but themselves. Now, I'm not telling you to make yourself feel bad, right? See, people think, you know, to take responsibility means to make yourself feel bad. No, you're just simply taking responsibility, putting not just the blame, but you're just taking responsibility so you can fix the problem. That's all. I'm not telling you to feel bad because when you feel bad, you do bad. So I'm not telling you to feel bad. I'm not telling you to feel bad. You just have to take responsibility so you can make changes, right? Hopefully this is helping you guys. The other thing is, here's another scripture I want to give you, and I want to talk about communication. Communication. Proverbs 18:21 says, "Death and life are in the power in the tongue. The power in the death and life, power in the tongue." So be careful what comes out of your mouth. Be careful what comes out of your mouth, right? Make sure you listen. If you communicate to yourself poorly, 9 times out of 10, you're communicating to the world poorly, right? If you're talking to yourself badly, you're talking to the world badly. So guys, death and life are in the power of the tongue. Be careful what you say. Be mindful of what you say. Stop saying things like, I can't do that, right? I can't make 6 figures. I can't make 7 figures. Why not? Right? It's possible. With God, all things are possible. With God, all things are possible. So make sure in communication, guys, be very careful what comes out of your mouth. Be very careful how you speak to other people. My wife always says, it's not what you say, it's how you say it, right? Be careful of how you communicate with people, right? Talk to yourself with respect, right? Say, man, you're awesome. Man, I know you may think this is a little crazy, but I will look in the mirror. I'm like, dude, you're off the hook. You're off the chain. Oh my gosh, you're awesome, right? See, if I don't tell myself that, who's going to tell me that other than my wife? But I have to tell myself that first, right? I can't tell someone else. I can't say, Eric, dude, you're awesome, man. You're amazing. If I don't tell myself that, right? How can you tell somebody else they're great and you're not telling yourself they're great? You're great, right? So your communication got to be on point. And another point, here's another one of my points you got to write. For a short period of time, guys, you got to be willing to be uncomfortable. I got 2 minutes. You got to be willing to be uncomfortable, right? It's not going to be easy for you right now. It's going to be extremely, extremely painful. It's going to be difficult, right? Don't ignore the process because the process, it's what allows you to look in the mirror one day and say, dude, you did it. Man, you're a freaking stud. You're awesome. Right? But for a short period of time, man, you got to make some sacrifices. You got to make some trade-offs. Guys, we never went on a trip outside of Primerica trips, probably our first 5-6 years in the business. We just, if we were going to go somewhere, it's going to be on Primerica, right? The problem I see today, they say things like, you know, I'm just going to be gone for 1 to 2 days, you know, or I'm going to be, guys, listen, I'll be on Zoom anyway. Listen, you need to focus for a short period of time on this $1 million run. You need to focus 100%. You need to focus on your goals. So you got to be willing to be uncomfortable. The other point that I have is you got to be thankful. One thing I learned is that you can't complain and be thankful at the same time. You can't be a complainer and a thankful person at the same time. So you're either complaining or you're being grateful. So guys, you got to be grateful. You got to be thankful. Man, wake up every morning thanking God for being in Primerica, thanking God for being in the Ortiz organization, right? That need to come out of your mouth. Thank you, Lord, for bringing us to Ed and Ortiz, to Jason and Eric and the Ortiz family. Thank you for bringing us to this hierarchy, right? That needs to come out of your mouth. You need to be thankful. You see, when you're thankful about things like that, when you value them more. See, guys, you can't learn from people you don't value. You can't learn from people that you don't value, right? So when you're thankful for them, right, you can learn from them. That's why I can still learn from our uplines, because we value them and we're grateful for them. You got to be thankful. And here's the one that you probably not gonna want. This is the bombshell I'm gonna drop on you. This is the bombshell I'm gonna drop on you. I promise you, none of you guys want to do this, but it requires this. You got to forgive. Man, you got to forgive, man. There's some people that have done you wrong, right? There's some people that messed you up, talked about you, right? Betrayed you, stolen from you, right? Upset you with some verbiage, with some words, right? Maybe they weren't loyal to you. Maybe they didn't meet up to your expectation. Guys, you got to forgive, man. You got to forgive. Why is this so important? It's because you can't move forward always looking backwards. You can't go forward always go look. I mean, so-and-so said this, so-and-so did this, and here you want to go this way, but you keep going looking that way. Man, I've had some people in our hierarchy, in our base shop, in my life, in my family, that have deeply hurt me, deeply cut me. But guess what? I still forgive them and I still love on them. You know, it's funny. Like I said, Eric and Amber was just at our house. We're very good friends with Eric and Amber Davis. And they were just at our house. And Eric, my wife would tell you, Eric says, man, when I feel like I'm angry at somebody, Dave, when I feel like I want to blow up at somebody, Dave, I call you. He said, you're my go-to guy when I need to forgive somebody. Because, Dave, you forgive everybody. And I do. I forgive everybody. You know why? Because I have no right, I have none, to hold anything against somebody else. Because you know what? Last I looked, there's no perfect person. Last I looked, the Bible says Jesus Christ died for me when I was yet a sinner, not when I had it all together. This is why this is big, you guys, because you can't feel good and do good when you feel bad with a lot of anger in you and a lot of envy in you. Like, I'm not envious. When I see the Ortizes win, man, I'm grateful. I'm like, man, go on, Ed, with your bad self. Go on, Eric. Go on, Jason. See, that's why we can have friends like the Munozes and the Davises and other great people in the hierarchy in the company, because I'm not envious of people's success. I love it when people win. I love it when people win, right? I'm not a hater. How am I going to have what they have if I'm hating on them? Right? See, you got to rid yourself of all those terrible feelings. You got to rid yourself of all those feelings. And when you do all that I just told you about, when you do everything I just told you about, right? This is what's going to happen. This is what's going to happen. I'm going to show you this. I'm going to show you the slide. I'm going to close with this. This is what's going to happen. See, it's called effort and sacrifice. You know how we have the theory of decreasing responsibility, right? Where there's a theory of decreasing effort and sacrifice. See, in the beginning, right, the income you earn is a direct reflection of the effort and sacrifice you commit to. See, in the beginning, you're going to put in a lot of effort, Ed. Just like you and Yvonne did, you're going to put a lot of effort. You put a lot of sacrifice. And this is where most people quit. This is where most of you are going to quit. You're going to quit because you're putting in all you got. You're putting in a lot of time, a lot of hours, a lot of your emotions. This is where most people quit, right? Because this is where the cash flow is low. This is where the cash flow is low. When you're putting in the most work, the most effort, the most sacrifice, this is where everybody quits. Why? Because this is where the cash flow is very low. But this is what's going to happen, because I know this will happen for Ed and Ortiz, Ed and Yvonne right now. Eventually, if you hang in there long enough, right, your effort and sacrifices is going to go down and your cash flow is going to go up. Listen, Shanika and I made more money last year than we've ever made. And I wrote less sales last year than ever before. I probably wrote 8 life apps last year for the whole year, right? And we made almost 800,000, right? I think 1 life app for every 100,000 that we made last year. But see, this is where the 2%ers live. This is where the 2%ers live. You're going to give it all you got in the beginning, guys. You're going to give it all you have in the beginning. But I promise you this. I can tell you this, Jason. It's coming. It's coming. I love when TD Jakes would say, get ready, get ready, get ready, get ready, get ready. Your breakthrough is coming. Your breakthrough, your goals and dreams are coming, guys. Ortiz hierarchy, you guys are God's best. God's hands are on your hierarchy. I can see it in your faces. You know, his favor, guys, is on this hierarchy. $1 million, Ed, it's in the bank. It's a done deal. Ed and Yvonne Ortiz, $1 million earners. Primerica's $1 million earners. And when you guys put it all on the line for them, you watch what your people do for you. You just watch what your people do for you. Hey, Ed, hopefully that helped. God bless you guys. Hopefully that was helpful. You know, Shanika and I are so grateful for this opportunity to share with your team.
All right, man. I'm telling you, man, you took it to another level. Let me tell you, you took it. I mean, you 10X this thing, okay? You 10X this thing, okay? What we were looking, I mean, I still got goosebumps. And tell Shanika, man, this is the first time someone has ever shed tear. I mean, I was over here just bawling. I mean, I got my little handkerchief, all that good stuff, trying to stay on pace with her. And man, David, I'm telling you, guys took it to another level, man. And we're so appreciative for everything that you have done. And we're online, man. Exactly what you're talking about. That's exactly how I live my life, man. And I'm telling you, it's so blessed. And I know you came into the Leon hierarchy for a reason, a purpose, okay? And that was to get David and Sophia, you know, on track. And I really appreciate that. But guys, give it up for the great David and Shanika. Got me all choked up and everything.
All right, Dave.
Oh, that was
Knock it out.
Let's go. Thank you.
Oh, man.
Really amazing.
Yeah.
Awesome.
Let's go. Thank you so much.
I'm so grateful, just so grateful to have you on the call. And with that, I'm going to pass it over to our closer, Eric, who's going to close us out, man. Thank you so much, man. I really can't thank you enough. You got it, brother. You got it.
What's going on, guys?
Right,
well, I'm not Eric, but I will be closing us out today. What's going on, guys, man? I am super excited. You know, huge shout out. Thank you, Mr. David. Thank you, Miss Shanika. Right, you guys absolutely killed it, man. I was telling Yane over here, I was like, Yane, take notes on how Shanika is responding to everything David says, because you guys absolutely killed it. So super thankful. You know, and guys, you know, I wanted to talk to you guys today. You know, just to close us out real quick. And it was crazy because he was pulling all the Bible verses. And I'm like, man, I really hope he doesn't take the one that I was, you know, thinking about talking to you guys. Can you guys hear me? I'm frozen. Eric, you want to switch with me real quick? I'm going to keep freedom.
Keep going.
All right. You guys can hear me? You guys can hear me? We're good?
Yes,
all right,
hear you. Yes.
Perfect. No worries. So, you know, like I was saying, I was really hoping that David didn't say the one Bible verse that I was looking. And, you know, most of you guys have heard it. Right. It's Jeremiah 29:11. It says, "For I know the plans I have for you, declares the Lord, plans to prosper you and not to harm you, plans to give you hope in a future." Right, guys, that is what this business is all about. Right. God has a plan already for us. That plan is to take this aviator hierarchy to $1 million.
Let's go.
Right. It's not going to happen overnight, but it's going to take time. But the plan's already spoken, like David said.
That's right.
Right, guys. It's very simple. Right, Primerica is easy, right or wrong, Edward? Right, Primerica is easy, but it's gonna take a team effort, right? So I'm calling out every single team right now. The Aviator Base Shop, right? Not the Aviator Hierarchy, the Aviator Base Shop. We need you guys to start doing 30 by 30, right? Start hitting 30 by 30. How's that gonna happen? Well, I don't know about y'all. There's Melinda, right? We got Monica, right? Those are the two regional leaders. If I'm missing any other the regional leaders, I know there's a bunch of other people on the team, right? But it starts with you guys, right? Nathaniel Ramos, right? Guys, all we need to do is get you guys to 30 by 30. So whatever you guys need from Janae and I, right? Team BYOB, and I know the rest of the hierarchy is on that, right? To help you guys get the 30 by 30, let us know, right? Because we're going to be right there with you. Now to all the first generation RVPs, right? It is up to you guys. Guys, a lot of you guys, most people don't know this, but the compensation is base shop and then through first. The bulk of Primerica compensation is first, or is base shop and then through first. Okay, so the through first RVPs, get your guys' team, right, at a collective to do 30 by 30. Because right there, guys, if Ed and Yvonne's base shop does 30 by 30, and then the remaining first generation RVPs, which is about 7 of them, right, does 30 by 30, well, that's 240, 240. So now all the through second got to do, right, is 10 by 10, and we're SNSD, right? We need the other RVPs, but the numbers will happen, right, guys? It's going to take a team effort, but it doesn't take a lot, right? It doesn't take a lot, just 30 by 30. Well, what's 30 by 30? 1 by 1 every day, right? I'm frozen again. Am I frozen again? Can you guys hear me? All right, cool. 1 by 1 every single day, right? There's over 116 people on this call, right? Well, if all 116 of us do 2 by 2 every day, what are we doing? 250 by 250, right? It's going to happen. It doesn't take a lot, guys. You don't have to be the superstar. We have superstars on this team, but you don't have to be one, right? The end goal is to get Ed and Yvonne Ortiz to $1 million a year in income. And I can't wait to do it because David said it. He said, listen, if David Luong did half or told me what half was true, I would make 80,000. Well, if Ed and Yvonne are making $1 million and if half of what they tell us is true, we're making $500,000. I don't know about y'all. That sounds pretty good. Yep. Right? So it's a matter of getting them out of the way so we can get there. That's right. Okay? You push your leaders up and you will reap the benefits. When I got started in this business, my goal was to get Edward Fernandez to regional vice president. Well, what happened? We got him the regional vice president. Now Janae and I are stoking the benefits, right? So guys, push your leaders up. Let's get this organization to $1 million a year. Right now we're at $650,000. By the end of this month, we need to be at least 700. At least 700,000. Ed and Yvonne are doing the work, right? Yvonne's done like $1 billion in investments this month, right? It's been crazy. They're doing the work. It's up to us. Just unmute me on your side. I'll mute myself. Up, right? We have to make it happen. We have to make this thing happen, guys. It's up to us. So, guys, again, let's make this thing happen. This month is the first month, right? We got to continue to grow, continue to get better. Every day means every day. We got accountability tonight. I'm proud of you guys. I love you guys. See you guys soon. See you guys at the top because the bottom's too crowded. We are. And then finally, we'll finish up with we are aviators.
Go.
Good day.
Love it here.
Let's go. Great training, guys. Great training.
Great training. Great training. Thank you, David. Thank you, everyone. Thank you, everyone on the call.
Some training.
Thank you, guys. Thank you. Love you guys.